What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Thursday Night Football Show. I'm Ivan Vargas. We got a interesting matchup tonight. I won't say it's going to be a good one. I really feel like this one's going to be very lopsided in the favor of the Baltimore Ravens. So we have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Miami Dolphins in Miami. I mean, that might be the only advantage Miami has coming into this game is that it'll be in Miami at their home field. But other than that, it is a heavily Baltimore favored game in my opinion. Miami is not a team that is particularly good at anything. They're struggling keeping their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, healthy. He's struggling to keep himself healthy. And when he is on the field, the numbers aren't there. He's struggling to produce. The Miami Dolphins don't particularly put any type of big numbers up. Their offense has struggled. Their defense has struggled. Like I said, it's been top to bottom a miserable year for the Miami Dolphins. They just got a win last week to stop their little slide this season, but it hasn't been pretty. And coming into this game, it's going to take a lot. Jacoby Brissett will be the starter. I thought Tua was going to start. You saw Tua on the promo. I didn't think he was going. I felt like he might try to go, but it just seems to me that without making the trade for Deshaun Watson, having him and Jacoby Brissett, they'd rather have him healthy in case anything happens to Jacoby and see if they could get him back going later in the season. But as far as the Baltimore Ravens are concerned, this team is 6-2. Their offense is doing fantastic. I know they have a lot of injuries on that defensive side of the football. To start the season, they've actually had a couple of big injuries to start the year on the offensive side. You had J.K. Dobbins going out, then you had Gus Edwards going out as well. So it's been a struggle to keep playmakers healthy to start. But if you look at their numbers and look at how Lamar's performing and how this team rises to the occasion, it is very impressive. You have over 3,000 yards, 334-23. They're number 5 in the league in total yardage. They're 13 in points for, 6 in yards per play, 16th in turnovers. They average 266.3 yards a game through the air. That's number 8. And honestly, that's one of the better. I think that's number 2 all time as of right now for the Baltimore Ravens franchise as far as passing is concerned. Lamar Jackson not only doing it with his legs this season, but doing it through the air and doing it through the air with a bunch of guys who, I would say Hollywood Brown is starting to emerge a little bit. I still want to see some more big plays out of him. You have a Sammy Watkins who's reliable, but you got a guy in Mark Andrews who's averaging about 70 yards a game this season. That's number 1 for tight ends. He really has been Lamar's favorite target, and rightfully so. He gets open in the end zone. You see him averaging about 70 yards a game. It just seems to me that anytime Lamar is in trouble, anytime Lamar needs something big downfield, he could always trust Mark Andrews to go ahead and make a play. And, the connection between those two guys, it just seems like week in and week out, they find each other. It's a lot of work, hard work, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of long nights studying just to get on the same page, even texting and calling each other, watching video with each other. It takes a lot to get that kind of connection, and those guys have it. Lamar Jackson, with all the naysayers talking about how he's not a quarterback and he's, a running back and people still questioning his ability. He's got these guys number 8 in the league in passing. And, it's just kudos to him. He's really taken a step forward as a quarterback, as a passer. I'll say that, as a passer, because he's all around. I mean, he can use his legs. It's a part of the game. He is who he is. He's a quarterback, but as a passer, he's really taken a step forward. And I've been impressed so far by Lamar Jackson. They've had comeback wins, and I think about 5 games so far this season, and he's been the guy to keep them in it. He's been the guy to keep the ship right when all is going wrong. You had that Raiders loss early in the season, and I'm looking at it, and they could be 7-1 right now if they pull that victory out in week 1. But it is what it is. Raiders get the win, but they've really learned and grown after that loss, and they're really a complete team. In rushing, they're 161.6 average a game. They're number 1 in the league, just above Cleveland. You look at their defense. Defense is really good. 15th overall in total yardage, 14th in points allowed. You got 32nd in yards per play, and they're really, really bad at the pass. But the thing that they really do well is they keep teams under 100 yards rushing, right? They're struggling, and you know why they're struggling. You lose your number one cornerback to start the season, right? But you do something very, very well, right? So you're able to make teams kind of one-dimensional. You don't allow anything on the ground. You don't allow big plays on the ground. You don't allow time to come off the clock. So you're kind of always in it. You know what I'm saying? That this defense is allowing a lot of big plays downfield, and that's where the yardage comes into play. But I feel like, as a defense as a whole, because of that rushing attack or the rushing the ability to stop the run, I feel like it balances out. It allows them to continue to keep teams at bay. They need to be better. Like, they really need to be better at stopping the pass. I'm not saying that they can't get better, but right now, Calais Campbell and that defensive front is doing all it can to slow teams down on the ground, and it's been okay because, like I said, Lamar Jackson has taken a step forward as a passer, and it's been looking very, very good for the Baltimore Ravens. The Miami Dolphins, on the other hand, like I said, they're not good at all. Offensively, they're 24th in the league in total yardage, 31st in yards per play, 31st in turnovers, 23rd in passing yards, and dead last in rushing yards. It's a bad offense. It's a bad offense. We watch. What's up, Ben? We watch the Bears week in and week out. We talk about their struggles, but looking at how Miami has performed so far this season, it's been really bad. It's been really bad. You're just able to get 75 yards an average as a team rushing. That's not going to get it done. Your passing yards, the average is, it looks a little, I wouldn't say it looks better because you're about 30th in the league, but I think that average at 280 average could be worse, to be honest with you. You're always trying to come from behind. You're always getting garbage yards and garbage time. So that 280.9 average for the Miami Dolphins, or excuse me, 2.8, 2.23. I'm looking at the defensive side over here. I'm sorry, excuse me. That 2.23 average could be a lot worse. I think it could average like under 100 yards or 200 yards a game if it wasn't for garbage time. Not a good offense. Not a good offense at all. And then, you go to the defensive side, and you're looking at a team that last year, really good. This year, really bad. They give it up a lot of yardage. Dead last there. They're 29th in points allowed. They're 10th in yards per play. They're 13th in turnovers. And, like I said, 280.9. That's a lot of yards given up through the air as a defense. The rushing attack, it's middle of the pack, but it's not middle of the pack good. It's middle of the pack. Like, man, you probably are just, one or two games away from your secondary being too tired to keep up with these receivers, and then them just beating your ass underneath constantly, because I just don't think this defense, for whatever reason, it just seems like them and the Washington football team, it just seems like they've just fallen off the face of the earth. They've really reverted in their play. I don't know where they go from here. I don't know what Miami does. I don't think they should fire Brian Flores. I really think he deserves another shot. Miami is a place that ever since Marino, you had a Ricky Williams, you had to bring in a Ricky Williams. You look at guys like who do they really draft well? The last running back they really had, they drafted Ronnie Brown. Receivers, you had Jarvis Landry, but he's not on the team. You have a Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's leading I think he's leading rookies in receptions. I think he might break the rookie reception record, is what they said earlier. But you don't have any playmakers on this team. You don't draft playmakers if you're Miami, and it's tough to consistently go out there and ask free agents to come to your organization when you have nothing. When it's like, hey man, come to your organization and save us. Like right now, save us, just you. It's tough for a team to go ahead and ask guys to do that, no matter what the money is. You might get guys that are middle age as far as their football career is concerned. You might be able to get somebody on the back end that still has talent. You might be able to cash in on a contract that's probably way overpriced for him, and he would probably give you about 2 good years. I could see them going and doing shit like that. But as far as young talent, they don't do that. They don't do that. Who's that? Yeah, they only have the Miami lifestyle. That's pretty much it. You're right. That's pretty much it. They don't have a quarterback who's worth anything. Even though I think Tua is a guy that I feel like needs to be in a New England, needs to be in a place where you have a veteran head coach, a guy that has an offense that's schemed around your abilities, and it's hard. Tua's athletic enough. He's not that athletic, but he's also injury prone, and it's hard to ask him to go ahead and use his legs week in and week out like a Kyler Murray. I think we all thought he was going to be a Kyler Murray type. Maybe not all of us, but I think a lot of people thought he was going to be that dude for them, and he just hasn't been. He hasn't been able to stay healthy enough to stay on the football field, and he wasn't healthy when they drafted him. So it was kind of confusing, all around for Miami. They just continue to make mistakes as far as personnel are concerned on the field. You can't afford to continue to miss on playmakers. You can't afford to continue to miss on draft picks and expect people to just come and sign with you to make up for it. Like, it doesn't work like that. You need to be able to hit on your draft picks. You need to be able to put bread on the table before you invite people over to eat. You need to be able to go ahead and have a plan before you get and start blowing money in free agency. Nobody's going to want to come to a team that's half-ass built. And I feel like Miami is a half-ass built team right now. Jacoby Brissett, 1-3 as a starter. I wish him well, even though I think it's going to be a very, very bad night for Miami. Like I said, Miami is not good at anything. You look at their offense, you look at their defense, they're not good at anything whatsoever. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, like I said, they struggle with the pass, but as a team, they do something, as a defensive unit, they do something very, very well, and that stop the run. They're fifth in rushing. With a team that can't run, with a team that can't run and is struggling with their pass already, it just doesn't add up to a good night for the Miami Dolphins, in my opinion. And then, like I said, you have Lamar Jackson playing MVP type football. I feel like Lamar is the MVP in my eyes. That's something that I haven't really vocalized yet this season. We're halfway through, but halfway through the season, I think Lamar Jackson is the MVP. Where are these Ravens without him? I don't think they have more than 2 wins without Lamar Jackson, especially when you lose your running backs, your number 1, your number 2 running back, and your number 1 corner to start the year, even before to start the year in training camp. You lose them before the year starts. It's tough. Lamar Jackson is my MVP so far this season. If it continues, this Ravens offense, you're looking at a Ravens offense that could have a 3,000+ yard passer and a 2,000 yard rushing offense. Rushing as a team, you have 1,200 yards rushing, I believe, so far as a team. You have about 2,000 yards passing as a team. I don't see why not. If we're halfway through the season, I know things get tougher. It gets colder. The stakes are higher. Teams step up. You're going to have a lot of division games, especially with Pittsburgh. Now that Pittsburgh is kind of riding the ship, that entire AFC Central, my God, like, talk about murderer's row right now. I mean, the Bengals look bungly last week. You had Steelers. We saw what happened on Monday night. I'm not going to mention that again. Look forward to the Baltimore Ravens and my best Bill Belichick impersonation. But I like that division so much that I'm going to say it's the best in the NFL as of right now. Just because you got teams that are still, like, they got good units. They you could talk about the offense of Pittsburgh, but they're finding ways to do it. Their defense is still there. You talk about Cleveland and how Baker Mayfield struggles. Well, their rushing game is still there, and their defense is playing really well. We talk about the Bengals. Well, we've seen the good and the bad from Joe Burrow. We've seen the good and the bad from their defense. I feel like that team is a team that is on the rise. And then, like I said, you look at these Baltimore Ravens, and what more can you say? John Harbaugh, every year has this team prepared, ready to go. That, like, if you want to see what good coaching is, look at Baltimore. Look at Baltimore. They got their team prepared year in and year out. It doesn't matter what personnel they have on the football field, and you can see that by the injuries that they've overcome so far this season. They put a quality product on the field regardless, and that's called adjustments. That's called knowing your personnel. That's called being close to your players, because you have to have that type of trust. When things go wrong, and things have gone wrong in Baltimore to start, well, they did go wrong in Baltimore to start. Excuse me, they're 6-2 now. They're looking great. John Harbaugh had that team unwavered. That team was not going to be misstepping at any time. Lamar Jackson himself wasn't going to have this team misstepping at any time. So I really feel like the Baltimore Ravens, top to bottom, and that AFC North, top to bottom, man, it's the best division so far in football. You could talk about the NFC West. They have some. They got a good, they got a good run at it too. But for me, I just feel like this one right here, right now, is going to get ugly. Like, this division is going to get really ugly come the second half of the season, and I'm looking forward to it. I like watching good football. You know me, I'm a Bears fan, but good football is good football, and I like to see it. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens 33, the Miami Dolphins 15. It's not going to be pretty. I think unless you get some type of a fire lit under your ass, if you're Miami after getting a victory last week, I just think the Ravens want it more. I think it's them against the world. I think, like I said, John Harbaugh and the entire coaching staff has this team playing like world beaters, even with the tremendous losses they've suffered so far this season. So, like I said, 33-15, Baltimore over Miami. I will be going live throughout the game. It might be in the first quarter. It might be in the second quarter. I haven't decided. I got to do a couple things before I do that. But I will be going live and giving you live reaction of Miami and Baltimore. Until then, guys, peace.